for the time being in this lesson, let's quickly go over distance and area. Now, these are two very simple commands to check sizing, whether it's the length of something or your area of something on your plan. A lot of times this will be either used to check yourself while you're drawing, checking offset, checking overall sizing of things. Distance specifically does not, so actually distance and area do not leave an existing object. So if you use distance and draw a line, it's just there to calculate the distance. It's not leaving an object. Same with area. As we get into it, you'll see it gets covered up with sort of a green or red overlay. That's not in your drawing. That is just a measurement tool to walk away with. And then there's also other ways of getting measurements, whether it's length of something or an area that I'll show you as well. But let's start with distance first. So simply the command for distance is di, enter. I have a habit of typing dist. That works as well, whichever is easier for you. So as soon as I type di or dist, it says, okay, what's first point? Let's just take the end of this driveway. So I'm going to snap to that end point, and then we'll come back to multiple points. We'll do that next. But I want to know your second point. So core part of the distance command is a length between 2 points. So I click this, then it'll give me a little readout here in the bottom. It'll give me, okay, a distance 34 feet, angle in XY plane. So it's talking about the direction I measured in. If we think about typical cross, this is our 0, 90, 180, 270. I measured from here to here. So it's as if I went from the center point over there. That's why it's reading as 180. I'm just going to do that again so we can look at the other items it listed. Angle from XY plane 0, and then there's some information on the delta. So I really only went 34 feet negative, meaning to the left on the X, and I didn't change any in my Y coordinate, which again is the up down, or the Z, which is in the third dimension, the 3D dimension, which we're not covering. That's the simplest way of using distance. Just you're checking 2 points. It doesn't have to be in a straight line. It could be from here to there. It's going to give you that straight line measurement, but as you can see in here now, it's starting to give other numbers for the change in Y, change in X, angle on the XY plane. Now you saw there was an option for multiple points. So for example, if I do DI, specify, you always have to specify your first point. I'm going to specify the end of this fence line. And before I go to do my second line, I'm either going to type M enter or click on this button at the sub command. So M enter. Then I can click to this point and then pass all the way up to the end point. Now once I'm done, I can keep going as long as I want, and it'll give me updates as I go. But to get that total distance, you hit enter at the end and you get your readout here at the bottom. So 190 feet, 5 and 11/16 inches. So that's that total distance of the fence. So if you were working on takeoffs for yourself or for your office and you needed to know approximate length for ordering a fence line, you would check this dimension and then you would write it down in your spreadsheet, and that way you know how much to order. There's some other options within that. Let's say we're trying to follow this edge, so I'm hitting M for multiple. I can go into an arc, again based off of the tangent line, just like our polylines, essentially like drawing a polyline, but I can snap to this curve, then hit enter, and it'll give me that whole distance along that curve. Once you get into that multiple, it's just like you would use with a polyline. So DI for distance to check your lengths on things. So I was gonna show you some other ways of doing this. So for example, if I select, let's select a nice line in here. These aren't connected. Okay, so here you go. Here's the first example of something that should have been drawn a different way. So I'm selecting L fence. I wanted to get this portion length, but they're not connected here. So I'll type J, one segment join into one polyline. So now this is all one line that turns. If I select this, even though this has 1, 2, 3 segments in it, if I do properties, PR for properties, or right click and go properties, it'll give me a total length. So it's telling me this portion is 156 feet, 7.5 inches. That wouldn't work for the fence. The reason why doing your distance command might be better for that is I had a break here. Graphically, there's a break there for the fence. Depending on your fence type, you wouldn't include the gate as part of your length as well, but that depends on your fence. But what I'm showing is I could measure this with DI. I could also select it and it'll give me a total length as well. And that works with any polyline. If you have a circle, your circumference is your length. That's the length that goes all the way around here. Let's say we've got a fire pit that's 5 feet across, so we've got a 2.5 foot radius. And we've got a 12-inch wall. So let's do O for offset, 12 for our distance. Now to get your takeoff for walls, typically you'll do like the center line. That accounts for both sides. If you have a big, long, curvy wall, you do the center line for the takeoff. So it actually offset that 6 inches. And then when I was ordering, let's say I had a cap on the stone. When I was ordering my cap, I'd have about 12.5 feet for my order on the cap for that stone. Pretty much any object you can open up in your properties, and it'll also give you measurements. But like I said, with distance, sometimes it's not about that overall length, but specific points that you can check.